let's talk about it. They let me press the button again. So it was a little confusion, and something was happening with the audio. And because something was happening with the audio, I'm willing to start this all over again, ladies and gentlemen. So, welcome to Oh Yes She Did podcast, where we ask the hard questions and get the hard truths. Dealing with mental health is really hard. Sometimes coming in these spaces, we have to be mentally prepared for the spaces that we are also trying to create. So make sure you're being aware and paying attention to your energy and protecting it. So whatever you need to do to get in here, your CBD, your THC, clench your pearls, whatever it is, your Bible you need to do to get in here and have these hard topics, we're going to continue to do it. So without further ado, like I said, today we're dealing with conspiracy. I was already up here, so I'm going to try to record what I recorded earlier and hope that it all goes to plan. Because, like I said, y'all, when you're doing it by yourself, it gets a little hard. But I'm not going to give up because there is always a reason. So, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, let's get into it.
And now, here is Dr. Jawanza with his penetrating presentation of countering the conspiracy to destroy black boys.
Now, like I said, we're dealing with conspiracies today. So, get a little comfortable with learning that sometimes we have to learn different ways to understand where we're trying to go. And if you're uncomfortable, like you're okay to leave and anything, I'm gonna try to cut through, like, add my little ones and twos to what he's saying. So, and then this is the old recording, so it's from 1987 and we're in 2023 now, so we can see what has changed. And are we still do we still need these teaching? And I'm starting with a male first because I'm a mom, I'm a husband, I have a husband, I'm a sister, I am a cousin, I have male friends. I am trying to be the best woman that I could be, and sometimes I know we have to start in different spaces, so I'm starting here as well. So let's go, Mr. Dude.
There's no topic that concerns me more than the one on the conspiracy to destroy black boys. And the reason is when our little boys are in preschool and primary grades, they're very innocent and very enthusiastic about learning. But something happens to that, and we need to find out what that is. My younger son is on the cover of this particular book, and I would like for him to grow up to be a man. Like many of you already told me, that you have sons and male students as well. Now, there's two parts of the conspiracy, volume 1, and this is volume 2. In volume 1, we raised 4 questions. First question is, when did the conspiracy start? Who is against black boys? Why is there a conspiracy against them? And what exactly is the conspiracy? That's in volume 1. In volume 2, we look at the relationships between mothers and their sons that must be studied. We also must look at female teachers and black male students. That must also be studied. We must look at some case studies. In other words, many of us are doing a very good job developing black boys to be men. What is it that some of us are doing that others are not doing? And then last but not least, a program called The Rites of Passage into Manhood. See, it used to be we knew when black boys became men. But now many of us don't know when we're men. It's how much reefer we smoke, how much wine we drink, how many babies we make. Until black men spell it out to black boys what it means to be a man, this conspiracy will continue. But let's go back to volume 1. When did it start? And as we begin to look at that, I want to also share with you why we call it a conspiracy to destroy black boys. You see, contrary to belief at birth, there are more black boys born in the world than there are girls. It's close, but it's 1.03 black boys born in the world to 1.0 black girls. Hear me clearly. At birth, black boys outnumber black girls 1.03 to 1.0. A brief 18 years later, it is now 1.0 available, and that's the key word, available black men, to 1.8 available black women. Almost 2 adult women for every 1 adult man. Now, the only question that should be going through your minds right now is what happened? We keep raising the wrong question. We keep asking, why do black men hang on corners? Why do black men lack direction? Well, if you ask this question, you answer the question 18 to 30 years too late. It is not a conspiracy to destroy black men. It's a conspiracy to destroy black boys. If you destroy him as a boy, he'll never become a man. And I can look around the room and tell, where are they? If they're not a...
And I believe that to be so true. So with these learnings, people, like, if you have boys, You know what I mean? We have to start with them sometimes too and pay attention to them. All right, mister, let's go.
Over to black women. Where are they? Call her up. In jail, there are 329,000 brothers in prison right now. One of every four brothers will go to prison. Where else? Or death. There's numerous ways that we die. There's homicide, suicide, drugs, war, high blood pressure, and the leading killer among black men, lung cancer. Our love for cigarettes, especially cool. Smoke them all day long, that exact same.
I think today's it's like drugs. It's different type of pills that kids are taking, or I also seen that they were doing like challenges online and things like that. So a lot of things nowadays is being the influence of these kids also going. And the entertainment business is like a new boom for people. So like in 2023 we could say like some of that is still the same, but some of it, nah, it got a little worse. It got a little worse.
Boy, cool. Where else? We have prison, death. What else to make us unavailable to black women? Yes, homosexuality. As you said earlier, one of every 9 minutes.
Homosexuality is on the rise in 2023. So his numbers then, shit, what are they now?
Country are homosexual. Where else? Yes. Hospitalized, institutionalized. Okay, so institutionalization, and there's not only in terms of hospitals, but also mental institutions, and of course, when they get released, many times being homeless. There's still one other large popular area. Thimby? They marry white women. Okay, interracial marriages. Ooh. Now I want to pause there for a moment.
Not just white,
because
it's
you would
mixed
think
now.
if anybody is going to marry outside the race,
they everywhere
black
now.
Women. You got 2 black women for every 1 black man. But as Thimby pointed out, it's exactly the opposite. There are 164,000 interracial marriages, of which 116,000 are brothers. That means 48,000 sisters. It's almost a 2-to-1 ratio of black men to black women marrying outside the race. But remember, as you said in the earlier workshop, if the definition of beauty is light skin, long hair, and blue eyes, why stop with Renee, the light-skinned sister? Why not get you the real thing? Got some serious problems here. And then black men tell me, I can't find a black woman to understand me. You mean out of 20 million black women, you can't find one to understand you? You don't need a white woman, you need a psychiatrist.
If you think that's true, then I think I think it's true too. Like I said, mental health is a real thing, and I guess he broke down one way. Maybe you just need help. It's not her.
But that's another workshop on relationships. But I
I'll
just want
go
to
to
share
that
with
one
you, we
too,
got some
guys.
very serious problems. But to tease this audience, black women are tired of being by themselves. And in the earlier issue of Essence magazine, the article said, guess who's coming to dinner now? Black women are tired of being by themselves. In other words, brothers, you can't have it both ways. You can't have 2 black women to choose from and still marry a white woman. You can't have it both ways. Black women are tired of being by themselves. Now, that's with regards to the stats, why we wrote the book, because we saw the shortage of black men. But what we want to begin to find out is, when did it start? You see, it's called the 4th grade syndrome. Studies show that black boys may be the best students in the country up until the 4th grade. So we wanted to find out what your son, a male student, was doing at the beginning of the 3rd grade, then at the end of the 7th grade, and then measure the progress. Let me give you 3 examples. We had a little boy 5 years ago on an Alva reading test score at the 98th percentile in the country. In other words, a walking genius. That means only 2% male, female, white, or black had a higher score than he at the beginning of the 3rd grade. At the end of 7th grade, the same boy now drops down to the 35th percentile. Engineer potential here. Pimp or pusher now. Scores should have improved 5 years. Instead, they only improved 1.3. 2 more examples. We had a little boy at the 92nd percentile. He dropped down to the 24th percentile, and his scores only improved 2.1. But let me give you the average example. We had a little boy at the 63rd percentile. He dropped down to the 4th percentile, and his score didn't improve a year, a month, a week, not even a day. There are 3 critical stages in black boys' development: infancy to 9, 9 to 13, and 13 to 18. You see, it's easy to see the negative behavior here when he's already dropped out. Later of us on the street corner lacking direction. It's more difficult to see it around 9 years of age, when they begin to sit further in the back of the class, when they begin to ask less questions, when their ball becomes more important than their book, when they begin to
pay attention to your kids when they are in school, because it's important. It's important. I didn't even know that. Let's go. Let's go.
cheat on their tests. We appeal to you to turn your sons and male students on early. Teach them how to read early. Teach them the beauty of being black and believing in God early. But many of us have waited, and we have waited almost too late to develop black boys to be men. You know what I'm getting at. America spends $2,300 on Head Start. They spend $38,000 on prison. If Reagan wanted to balance the budget, I can.
Now, if anybody would want me to do the research on the numbers of what it is in 2023, or if anybody did the research and while they're listening to this video, put the numbers in the chat. Let's talk about it. Let's see what changed and what do we need to do to change and help further these things, because his numbers looking real in the year 1987. Let's go.
We're going to save about $36,000 per person. It's much easier to educate than it is to incarcerate. Now you raise the questions. How long do you stay in Head Start? Year? 2 years at the most? How long do you stay in prison? The rest of your life? Question number one. Question number two. Does Head Start work? A 19-year study documents that.
If anybody don't know what a Head Start is, we'll go over it. Just pose the question. I'm not just gonna volunteer it. Want you to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep it going because I like it.
Head Start works, but in prison, 85% of the inmates that get released go right back in. But as Jesse Jackson says, we have two choices. We can either send me to Penn State or State Penn. It's your choice. We have got to find ways to intervene. Now, we have a whole workshop just on the fourth grade syndrome. I now want to ask you, what are some of the reasons you feel to explain why black students, especially black boys, were doing so well K through 3, and now scores declining in the intermediate and upper grades? What explains it? Yes.
The learning style changes abruptly in fourth grade from what might have been more right brain activities in the primary grades into all of a sudden all left brain activity.
Okay, so a change in learning styles or methodology from the teacher, from a holistic learning style to a left brain. Okay, very good. Any others? Yes.
I think that there's a lot of rejection on the part of the female teachers in the classroom.
And the rejection increases with the upper grades? Why do you think it increases?
Because of the students, perhaps his natural makeup, hyperactivity, and that sort of thing.
And that may be increasing. Well, it may be increasing because we're now expecting them to stay in school or stay in a chair even longer. Okay. Any others that contribute to this fourth grade syndrome? We have a change in learning style. We have the teacher's outlook on the student. What else? Yes.
The student becomes more culturally aware and differs significantly from the teacher often.
Okay. So the child's now becomes more aware of their culture and racial identity. Okay. Very good. Any others? The major reason you have not given yet, and maybe that's why this problem is still with us, Terry. First name is Richard. I'm sorry, Richard.
Well, the peer group starts to form and become stronger about the peer group.
That's unfortunate, Richard, that you said that, because as the age increases, the peer pressure is on the increase, while parental involvement is on a decrease. I don't know who told parents when your child is older, they need less of your time rather than more. When I speak to Head Start parents,
That's how I feel. I feel like as my kids are getting older at this moment, it's like when they need me, it just sucks because that's when they push away the most. You know what I mean? Because now they're older, they're ready to see the world and do other things. So I feel like as they get to these older ages, that's when they pull away the most. And I feel like that's when we should be there the most. It's just a wicked game because your kids could be aggressive to where you say, fuck it, I don't want to do this no more. I'm not gonna do this with you. But they need you. They need you at that moment, like they need you at that time.
80% of them are there. Elementary school, 30%. High school, almost a joke. We have to work on that. That's another workshop too on parenting all the way through, not just in those quote unquote tender years. But the major reason, it's not on the board yet. Still looking for it. Yes. Gwen?
I think, too, that young boys, and particularly young black boys, in the primary grades, they have many mother figures, and they have few very few men figures, and particularly black male figures. And I think it makes a big difference come grade 4.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's the major reason. And let me now get my first position. I sincerely believe that only men can make boys men. Now, don't misquote me. I didn't say that a single female parent or female teacher cannot rear or educate her child. But she need not do that by herself. What she calls upon her father, her brother, an uncle, a male neighbor, a nephew, a co-worker. There needs to be some men in our children's lives. I want to explain to me how a boy is going to grow up to be a man if he's never seen any. In order to be anything, you must see it first. Remember in the earlier workshop, and I'll go through this very quickly, from the University of Michigan, we wanted to find out what the major influence on children. We said 1950 was home, school, church, peer group, and television. And then we gave you 1980. Home was still number 1, peer group in the number 2 position, television 3, school dropped down to number 4, church last on the list. Let's go back to my statement. My statement said that only men can make boys men. Now let's see what
Understanding that we are in this new world, that everybody is not into the church. So don't be discouraged when you hear that word. We in this group are going to call it religion. Let's just keep it as religion. Or brotherhoods, however you choose to identify.
black boys are going to find men. Let's first of all look at his home. 62% of all black children live in a single-run household. It's a very good chance we will now find a man here. I'm going to hold off on the streets and drop down to television. Can you name me 5 positive adult black men on television outside the news? And you can't name Cosby because the show just started. Name me 5. Outside the news. And you better not say George Jefferson. So they find very few black.
In 2023, there are none, because I don't want to say, because Cedric comes on like regular channels. He's a comedian. There are Cedric the Entertainer. There aren't many black people on the televisions. That is, and oh wow, that's crazy. In 2023, we don't really have any. If anyone knows some, please, like I said, write it down. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Role models on television. Now let's drop down to the schools. 83% of all elementary school teachers are women. 95% of all teacher age are women. And when do men teach? After the critical 4th grade, or they're in the upper grade, or they're a PE teacher, the janitor, or the principal. Very few before the 4th grade where black boys need them the most. And lastly, the church. Most young people, men, don't go to church. And the reason is we lied to them. First of all, we made Jesus Christ white. The man surely was not white. And we have a book called What Color Was Jesus to explain that. He had hair the texture of wool and feet the color of bronze. But secondly, the Lord's Prayer says on earth as it is in heaven. Young people and men want some action. They want some programs. If there are no programs in your church, they will see you later in heaven. As a result of not finding a man at home, few on television, few in school, and not wishing to attend church, the last place is the streets. And that's the problem. The streets do a very poor job making men. They do a better job making pimps, pushers, and a few basketball players. Their hero, Michael Jordan, said there were 1 million brothers that won his job last year in the NBA. Of this million, only 400,000 will even make it to play high school ball. Of this 400,000, only 4,000 will make it to play college ball. Of this 4,000, only 35 will go to the coveted NBA. Of this 35, only 7 start. And the average life in the NBA is 4 years. You got 1 million brothers looking for 7 full-time jobs.
With this John Morant thing, what you think? What you think? I think it's more. You get more, a little bit more years.
The NBA, even schools are in on it. Really, the first thing you see when you walk into a Cincinnati high school, a large trophy case. And that was even schools give more glory to their ball players than the scholars. That's said in the earlier workshop. Where the pep rallies for the honor roll? In other words, even school, I can understand the NBA, but even schools give more glory to their ball players than their scholars. This conspiracy goes beyond the NBA, though. It goes beyond schools. Jesse Jackson is giving you the clue one more time. Is it not possible for a black man to be president? For a white woman to be president? For a black woman to be president? Is the club only reserved for European men? You didn't know that a white boy with a high school diploma makes more money than a white woman, black woman, or black man with a college degree? The motive for the conspiracy is clear. For the question of why is there a conspiracy, the answer is white male supremacy. In other words, white men are not afraid of women, black or white. because women have no power anywhere in this world. The threat to European men will come not from women, it will come from other men. And the best way to destroy black men is to destroy them as a boy. The motive is white, male supremacy. But before you get comfortable blaming somebody else, let me make sure we're clear. On a conspiracy, there would always be two. You see, you have the active conspirators, and you have the passive conspirators. See, it's like child abuse. There were always two. You have the father who does the beating, active. But you have the mother who turns her back, passive. Isn't apathy, indifference, low expectations, buying hot goods in the black community, isn't that also part of a conspiracy? You have the active and you have the passive. In a conspiracy, there will always be two. Let me now give you the starting line. We'll start with the active ones first and then move to the passive. Leading off, batting in the number one position, representing this country, institutional racism, batting first is the president. He bats in the number one position.
Now, in 2023, they had Ronald Reagan, right? I mean, in 2023, in 1987, they had Ronald Reagan, right? In 2023, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it's Trump or Biden, okay?
Batting second, representing the Trilateral Commission, the Fortune 500, big business, David Rockefeller bats number two. Batting third.
Well, it Rockefeller still got that money, but it's now it's a couple of more businesses out there, so yeah, we could still say the corporations.
Representing the military complex. You didn't know? Black people, 12% of the population, 1/3 of military, and died 41% of the time in the Vietnam War. The chief of staff. That's number three. Batting fourth, and I don't mean Marlon Brando. I mean the real Godfather. Drugs running rampant in the black community. Please don't deceive yourself. If America is the number one power in the world, they could police their borders to stop the drug traffic. These men and what they represent intentionally want to make sure the black boys never grow up to be men. But remember, they got some help from some of us who really like black boys, who may even have black boys at home, just didn't know any better. And so we bat number 5 through 9. Batting fifth, not all, but some mothers who raise their daughters and love their sons. Batting six, some female teachers who don't understand that boys have different learning styles than girls. Batting seventh, representing the media in this country, shows like Gary Coleman and Webster. Shows that make me sick. Shows that illustrate that black men cannot raise intelligent black boys to be men. In other words, we need a white father for Gary Coleman and for Webster. It's all part of the media image. It goes all the way back to Tarzan, all the way back to Superman, all the way back to Rambo, to Rocky, all part of white male fantasy trying to control the world. It's all part of a scheme. Make sure you heard me. It's consistent with Superman, Tarzan, Santa Claus, the white father, all part of that scheme. Batting eight, the macho image, Mr. T, and we'll look at today someone like Prince or Magic Johnson or Isaiah Thomas. In other words, no need to study, just be macho, just be a superstar. In other words, Mr. T, Prince for entertainment, Isaiah Thomas the Magic for sports. And then last but not least, a black woman by the name of Kathy, who do anything for a man, and a black man by the name of Willie, who does not feel good about himself.
Oh, damn.
You see your faces right now. Who's Kathy? You have to stay to the end to find out who's who.
Let's see if we see.
No, you don't know who Willie is, but we got a new theory for you now. We used to hear with Donna and Kathy, but now we're going to give you the Eddie Willie theory. We have a new one. So we have we have Ronald Reagan, David Rockefeller, Caspar Weinberger, the Godfather, some mothers. I didn't say all, some. Some mothers, some female teachers, the media image, macho in sports, and Kathy and Willie. These people and what they represent, intentionally or subconsciously, want to make sure that black boys never grew up to be men. Let's now look at the active ones first. I want to make sure we start in the right place. The conspiracy did not start with black mothers. It started somewhere else. We must start where it began. It began with active conspirators. I want to now look at them first. In looking at the active conspirators, I want to make sure we understand that these kind of terms don't make sense. We are not the minority. In other words, there are 4.5 billion people living in the world. Of this number, 80% of the world's population has color. That means only 20% of the world's population lacks color. Now you tell me who's the minority. You see, it's called the African tribe.
Still the same way.
We're not the minority. We're only a minority. We allow ourselves to be divided up from our brothers and sisters in Nigeria, in Jamaica, in the United States. Look at this African triangle. After all these years, other than the way we're dressed, you can't tell who's who. There are 1 billion people living in China alone, and we are second. 500 living in Africa, 160 living in Central and South America, 40 million living here in the United States. We are not the minority. Now, the question is, how can so small control so much? That's why I respect them so much. Think about it. You have a game. You have one game with 80 people, another game with 20, and the 20 going to win? The only way they can do that is by controlling the mind. Because whoever controls the mind will also control the body. Let's look at this.
And like I said, when we are trying to create these spaces, we need to deal with mental health. So yes, he is talking for Black boys and men, but us ladies need to understand that that falls in lines with us too. So let's get it, Mister. I like it so far. We like it. I really hope y'all listening. Let's get it.
Let's break this down in half. What you come out with is 10% European women and 10% European men. See, it's not even 20. It's really 10% European men. In other words, the Trilateral Commission, they want to control more than just their countries. They want to control the world. And they have poured.
Now, I don't know who that man was. This probably his video. But like I said, we just going to be open-minded and we're not going to point fingers. You know what I mean? We're just learning. That's all.
Oh, now there's a tremendous amount of pressure when you're this small trying to control so much. Now maybe you can't understand it. It's been a long time. It goes back to Egypt for us, having that much power. But can you imagine that small number trying to control the world? A tremendous amount of pressure is on that small group with that much power. In other words, the first thing that men are taught to do is not to cry. According from their own Goldberg, the book is called The Hazards of Being a Male. The tremendous pressure.
Now, this is what caught my eye and made me say, no, 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 no. Ladies, wake up. Ladies, wake up. Ladies, wake up. In my Dr. Umar voice. Gotta say it 3 times. Like, fuck, let's go.
When you're so small trying to control so much, the first thing that men are taught to do is not to cry. Think about it. Ever seen Ronald Reagan cry? John Wayne cry? They died with their boots on. They died in their saddles. They died like men. Now, any psychologist will tell you that.
Now, like I said, he said that about Ronald Reagan. Did Biden cry? I think he had some tears in his eyes, but Trump no cry.
Crying may avoid suicide later. But as a result of European men not crying, European men commit suicide more than anybody else. Black men who want so much to be like European men are very close second. European women are third, and the most sane person in America, she don't make no money, but stay close to God and her children and cry. Black women commit suicide less than anybody else. Give yourself a hand clap.
Okay. Let's go.
In other words, if you think that money is the source of all your happiness, they make more money than anybody else. But they obviously are not happy. In other words, money may not be the key. Putting God and your children first may be the key. Poorest people in America commit the less amount of suicide. First thing men are taught to do is not to cry. Second thing men are taught to do is to ignore pain. Got hypertension? Shake it off. Cancer? Shake that off too. Monday Night Football. Walter Payton goes off the field with a busted knee. Comes back on a half hour later and Howard Cosell says, oh, what a man. The man was crazy to go back on the field. We see men are taught to be macho, to ignore pain. Now women, when women's finger bleeds, to the doctor's office. Women take care of themselves, but not men. You know, it's gotten so bad, the studies have now documented that when men are married, they live longer. That's an insult to my intelligence. It means that I cannot live long by myself. I got to leave my mama and go to my wife.
I want you to hear that. And I think he's going to explain why. Let's go, ladies. Y'all be winning and don't even be knowing. Let's go. I'm married 21 years. Holla.
Because if I don't, I'm probably going to smoke cigarettes, drink liquor, and eat a lot of pork on the streets. But with women, annual checkup, that's what they encourage men to do. Drink a regular amount of water and eat a salad on a regular basis. What am I getting at? European women say they're so oppressed. European women lived at 77 years of age. Black women lived at 75 years of age. European men die at 69 years of age, and black men die at 64.8. Albert, you and I die before the first Social Security check. That law needs to be changed. The Lord, for us, we are living long to collect on the payment. This is sad. I'm gonna die 10 years before my wife. This is not theoretical. It's not just my son here. It's my life here and your life. Can I not live as long as my wife? 10 years before her? Men are first of all taught not to cry. Secondly, they're taught to ignore pain. And then last but not least, they're taught to bring home the bacon. Or I say as a vegetarian, to bring home the fruit and the vegetables. In other words, to bring home the money. Ronald Reagan knows this. Rockefeller knows this. That the best way to destroy black men is to deny them the opportunity to work. You know what I'm getting at, because Bill Moyers didn't tell you that was Vanishing Black Family documentary. One of every 3 marriages in this country, black or white, ends in a divorce in 18 months. Now, you see, it used to be if you got a divorce, something was wrong with you. But when you have a stat this time, something must be going on in society. I now want to explain what that is. When America believed in agriculture, America believed in extended family. When America believed in the factory, industrialism, America believed in the nuclear family. But now that America believes in the computer, now America believes in a single parent family. Make sure you see my analysis. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. There was more than love in these relationships. There was some money involved here. Our grandparents worked the fields together, had economic reason to stay together, and so they did. In the factory, man works in the factory, woman takes care of children. Economic reason again to stay together. But in this new economy, where you now have women working just as much, if not more, than men, you now hear women telling men, I don't need you. Got my own job. Do what I want to do when I want to do it. And we're now doing it very well and by ourselves. You know the number one song in America a couple of years ago, Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent. If you want to be with me, you got to have a job. It's all about money. All about money. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. And so now we have a lot of people making plenty of money and lonely. They place money before family.
And that's why I wanted to play this. I'm not sure if I even want to give y'all more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it there. I know where I'm at on it. You know what I mean? I'll put it in the description below when I post this, but I want us to know, and let me put these headphones back on. I want all of us to know that mental health is real. The things that are being pushed in your face is not always like, do your own research. Just do your own research, bro. I'm just going to keep saying that. I'm going to end it right there because it was getting real. Like, homeboy, it was getting too real. And if you want to see more, please come back. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you are practicing mental health while trying to create the spaces that you're trying to create to be in, so we can have these spaces for a long time. It doesn't have to be temporary. It can be something that is for a long run. So I'm gonna say later, guys. Like I said, if they let me press the button, I'll press the button whenever I feel like it. So y'all remember that and stay focused.